Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. Back and better than ever. I don't know. Anybody do anything fun this weekend? We'll start with Kevin. Anything fun?
No, not
Joe?
really.
I did nothing.
You guys can't even make up.
I wasn't even
Wow.
college football. on. It
You
was
cannot
Army
even
Navy.
make something up to participate.
I
Brian, what about
watched
you?
the
Do
Army
anything fun?
Navy game.
Yeah.
Joe,
Me and the family escaped. We went to Frankenmuth, Michigan. Many people know that is like Christmas Town, USA, with Bronner's, the world's largest Christmas store.
Cool.
So we escaped there. We had the traditional chicken dinner. My wife and I we had a outdoor balcony where because it was
You
like
peed
30
off of it.
No, we kept it.
DJ
We
on
kept it G-rated.
Whoa!
But
Wow. Okay, I didn't go there.
we brought a portable space heater out there with us because we wanted the girls to sleep. So we were like, we're gonna drink, but we don't want to be freezing. So we kind of jerry-rigged it. So yeah, man, it was good. We shopped. The girls, if you guys maybe saw my Facebook or Angela's, they got to see Santa. We
Okay, cool.
got some Christmas shopping done. Everything was good, man.
So I went to Las Vegas. I've got a big Vegas story to tell because I've never had a weekend like this. Kevin, we had fun when we were in Vegas in September for Summerslam, but I went for UFC 269. And we stayed at the MGM Park. Now, this is very important later in the story, and I'll see if you can figure out when it is important that we stayed across the street from the venue. Thursday night, we went and had lunch or dinner, and then I sat down at a slot machine, and I won $1,500 in the first 10 minutes.
Boom.
So I text my wife, and she goes, all right, I'm coming over. So you gamble a little, you spend a little, and then I gave her 500 of my winnings. And then, gamble a little more, drink a little more. I drank a lot of Hefeweizen this weekend because
Ooh,
they didn't have Blue Moon. They didn't have Blue Moon anywhere. So it was just that. And there was a Goose Island, I think was another one. There was like it was called like 312. I don't know if that's a Vegas
Chicago's
beer.
area code.
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. So those were good. And then Friday morning, we went and toured the UFC Performance Institute. And this isn't a public thing. I'm pretty fucking special to get to do this. And it was awesome. Fucking awesome. And it's more than just a gym. A lot of people are like, oh, that's just where they work out. No. So this is the Performance Institute, and what they're doing there, they're trying to work on the science of fighting, and that's like, if I hit Joe, how much pressure goes into Joe's face?
Well, it was a song, Joe. You know that. Hit Joe, hit Joe.
Yeah. So and it's that type of stuff. If you get hit, how much pressure goes into your face, like. It was all that stuff, and like to the dietary, and I've always wondered about weight cuts. Brian, I'm sure you know this. Joe, Kevin, probably not. All you have to do is make weight for the weight, and then you can blow back up. And I'd always wondered why that was. Like, why, if you weigh 200 pounds, why don't you fight at 205? Why, be 200 pounds and fight at 145? It never made sense to me. Well, my tour guide was Forrest Griffin, Hall of Famer, pretty kick-ass, name dropping, yes. And he explained to me, he goes, it's real simple. Bigger is better. So these guys do all the work to cut down, and then the next day they're going to be bigger. They try to be bigger than their opponent, which is silly. I think I don't like that part of fighting. And I wish I would have asked that follow-up question, but I didn't. And then it was just, we walked through the gym area. Francis Ngannou was training. And that is a big motherfucker. Yeah. He's like bigger than Shaq. Unreal. And then one other question I got to ask was about, nails.
The old wrestler?
Not the wrestler. Okay. Fingernails and toenails, because there's a lot of finger pokes that happen. Yeah. Like, is there a manicurist that the UFC has before, to go through the locker room? And it isn't. The fighters are responsible, but then the doc checks when they're greasing up their face and all that stuff. But overall, it was awesome. And you guys know I love the merch. They have a consumer product studio like in their lobby. Everything they make but it's not a store. It was just for display. And I'm like,
yeah,
motherfucker. So the woman in the marketing department said they want to put a store in there because they host so many people that get to go to these tours. I would have spent $500 easy because I had it from the night before. I mean, it would have no doubt.
$1,500.
So Friday night, we went and saw Journey. We were looking for something to do. We were going to go to the hockey game. And, you know, Journey doesn't have Steve Perry anymore as a singer. But they have this Filipino man who sounds just like Steve Perry. It's outstanding. And I don't do resolutions because they're corny. My goal for 2022 is to go see bands like from the 80s. Tesla, Cinderella, Poison. You know, Berlin is playing my mall here in a couple weeks. Like, just to go see those types of bands and see what they are, because Journey fucking killed it. Go to my Instagram at Chewy Lewis 76 to see a video. Like a little 2-minute clip I put together. After Journey, we gambled some more. My wife won $1,000. That's Friday night. So then Saturday, she went and took my money that I gave her to go to the spa. She gave me money from her winnings, and I finally bought a pair of shoes I've been sitting on for a while. Do you guys know what Yeezy foam runners are?
Oh, no, it's Kanye's brand, right?
Yeah. So they are essentially Crocs, but much cooler.
Okay.
And they were a lot more. So
like this cool.
You know, they're this,
because it's
like off the screen fucking cool.
It's not much more.
And then Saturday night, of course, was UFC 269, and Kevin and I had been talking all week. I've been to 20 UFC events and I've never placed a bet. And I thought, all right, so UFC does an embedded series where they follow the fighters all week. And I'm watching, and Amanda Nunes wasn't acting like she normally does on fight weeks. She's responding to trash talk. You know, I hate to say it, but she's all about her kid. And I feel like that took away some of the focus. This happened with Ronda Rousey when she lost to Holly Holm. And I picked up on it then, and I said Holly Holm was going to win, and she did. I said Juliana Pena was going to win, and she did. Again, at Chewy Lewis 76 on Instagram. My wife filmed my reaction of me with the fight being over, and me cashing in my getting my $700 from that. Kevin referred to my reaction as what did you say, a fight orgasm?
Yeah.
But before the fight, when we walked into the arena, you know, arenas and stadiums have bag policies now. My wife's bag was too big and they weren't going to let us in.
Oh.
Back to the original statement. We stayed across the street. Luckily. So we went and I was pissed off because there was good prelims this time around, and I missed the Shui by Tai Tuivasa, but I did get to see Dominic Cruz kick ass. And the other highlight for me was Cody Garbrandt get knocked out again. So he's 1-5 in his last 5. I've seen him get knocked out live 3 times, and I wish there was a reaction video of that one because it was an out-of-body experience. I love seeing Cody Garbrandt getting knocked out. It's fucking awesome. And then finally, we were at the airport, and I was like, what the hell? I'll put $100 in the slot machine, and I won 200 more. So I walked out of Vegas with $1,000 in my pocket. It was a pretty cool feeling. It'll never happen again. But yeah, so that was what I did this weekend. And I know I've talked a lot, and I feel like the boys need to talk now. So what are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
The weekly check-in. What 4 40-year-old men wear at a wrestling podcast. Kevin, what are you wearing?
I really wanted to wear a different shirt, but it was dirty and it smelled. So I still wanted to keep in. I wanted to keep with the theme.
It's just that one. We can't. It's not smell-o-vision here.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear this shirt in a couple weeks. But today I'm wearing the animated one from WWEshop.com of Bret Hart like jumping off the top rope, giving that nice elbow smash off the middle turnbuckle. It's super soft. It's kind of like the WWE's version of like the homage softness. It's a great shirt.
Joe?
I'm going with the Macho Man WWE Legends black t-shirt. Came with matching sunglasses, which I'm also wearing.
If you're listening.
Yeah.
If you're listening, but I'm wearing matching Macho Man sunglasses to go along with the Legends t-shirt.
I got to up it. I got to interrupt.
I say Kevin have the Bret Hart sunglasses.
Oh,
no,
Razor
Ramon socks. Sure.
I thought you were gonna say
you had the Bret glasses.
Bret Hart gave me a cameo birthday.
And
we know.
New Day underwear. No, I'm just kidding. Jay, what are you wearing today?
I went with a classic Tito Santana Arriba t-shirt. Arriba. And Brian, what you got?
Well, I knew you were wearing the Tito Santana shirt, so I take you back to WrestleMania 8. Tito Santana enters the ring to take on Shawn Michaels after the national anthem, or America the Beautiful, I can't remember which one, was sung by Reba McEntire. And the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan, as Reba's leaving the ring, here comes Tito. Tito is El Matador at this time. He takes a bow to Reba, and Bobby goes, he's saying hello to his sister. Gorilla goes, that's not his sister. And Bobby goes, isn't that a Reba McEntire? So
I don't know how you did you just watch that Mania or something?
No. It's all up here, man. It's Bobby the Brain right here.
That shirt's
Bobby
great.
the Brain.
Yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan. All right. So we recorded early last week because I don't know if you heard, I went to Vegas and won a lot of fucking money. But because we recorded on Wednesday, we didn't get to talk about the Jeff Hardy situation. Now, was at a live event. And he rolled out of the ring, and instead of going up the ramp, this was mid-match too. This wasn't like the match was over. He went out through the crowd. The next day, he was released by WWE. And then the next day after that, a report came out that they offered rehab, and he declined. Now, his addiction issues are well known. But then on Twitter, Matt Hardy started tweeting some stuff. And the first one was extremely excited about the future with an X, like extreme, like Team Extreme. And then the next one was a Matt fact that Matt loves brother Nero. And then there were tweets of Matt and Jeff Hardy together talking about Jeff Hardy's concerts that he was doing this week, like Nashville and Orlando. Is there any chance Jeff Hardy orchestrated his exit from WWE? And this is not an addiction issue.
Potentially,
chance, yeah. And if so, and if he used the addiction thing to get released, then shame on him. And both of them are scumbags.
Well, he didn't say he was addicted,
but they offered rehab.
Correct, and he denied it. So what? Maybe he's just doing it as a ploy or a way out of WWE.
It's still a scumbag move.
Brian, you got it?
No, it's bad.
I'd give it less than 5% chance. I think what's more than likely is, he had some sort of relapse. From reading about Matt Hardy talking, they did drug test him. So maybe we won't find out if he was under the influence of something. But yeah, I think he had a bad night. Something was going on. You don't leave the match mid-match and walk through the crowd. The videos of it are so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I think that's what happened. I don't think he had this plan all along, because I think you look on the other side, what company, what organization, whatever, is going to go, well, here's the 10th relapse of Jeff Hardy's career. Come on to NWA Power, AEW,
GCW.
As soon as Sean Ross Sapp tweeted it, Tony Khan was on the phone to Matt Hardy.
It's a bad look.
Tony Khan is got a fucking hard on for these 90s wrestlers.
I agree with Brian. Bad luck.
just a bad, if it is, yeah, I think it's just a bad look. I can see if he goes, I had a bad night, I feel like I'm in a good place, and he comes back and whatever happens. But yeah, I that's the way I more lean toward then, rather than I've got this elaborate plan to act like I'm stoned and get fired.
Odds that, give me a percentage. Jeff Hardy is in AEW in April. We'll say 90 days, whatever, March or April. I'm saying 88%.
Wow. Yeah, that was actually my hot take number 6 for 2022. Was Hardy. No, it wasn't. I'll go by April, you were saying?
Because I would imagine he has a 90-day.
Yeah, that's sort of reported. Like he's, I think, early March, right? Is what he'd be. So, yeah, I'll say like 40%.
Kevin,
I'll go 50. Coin flip.
Joe,
97.
Ooh, higher than me. Higher than Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Allegedly. Now, recently, Jeff has been saying that his Will-O-the-Wisp character could be as big as The Fiend was in WWE. So if AEW signs Jeff Hardy, maybe it's Will-O-the-Wisp that shows up. But I'm sure they're going to, milk it all they can for the Hardy Boys reunion. And I liken this a little bit back in the day to Kurt Angle. He asked for a release to get better from WWF. And then all of a sudden shows up in TNA. Spent more time in TNA than he did in WWF. So crazy, crazy stuff. So we'll keep tabs on that. Good guy Brock Lesnar is my new favorite thing in pro wrestling. I mean, the overalls, the stuff with Sammy, the stuff with Heyman.
That's what's making it. Sammy.
He just looks like he's having fun. Any thoughts on the interaction with Sammy on Friday before I get to my question?
I love it. I love that the interaction with Sammy. It's not making Sammy a main event player, but it's making Sammy more like you can rely on him. You could always rely on him as a character to entertain you, but having Brock out there. And here's the thing, Jason, you said it looks like Brock's having fun. Of course he's having fun. He showed up more than 1 week. He showed up 2 weeks in a row. He didn't show up 1 week and then we didn't see him for another 2 months. So yeah, he's now a regular character. Who would have predicted that?
Kevin, you got, go ahead, Brian.
Kev,
go ahead, Brian.
No,
Brian, go. Brian, go.
Go. I'm gonna go out of here. You think back to this run of Brock beforehand, and he was basically the silent guy with Paul Heyman being the advocate. And now we're seeing the personality of Brock Lesnar, which he kind of showed during his first run. You think of that gif of him wearing the sombrero for Eddie Guerrero and dancing with the mariachi, right?
The Brock party.
Yeah, Brock party. Yeah, so you had some moments of that, right? Like this guy can do
Austin's
these things.
Podcast.
Yeah, and he can make all these hilarious moments. And what he was saying, like, Sammy, let's go fishing. 2 Canadian boys, let's go hunting. And my head immediately went to, oh my God, we're gonna get vignettes next week of them, like, thinking about the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits and their challenges. I'm like, if we get this, I am going to freak out. And then of course it all kind of flipped, but it's so great. I'm right with you, Jay.
Joe?
I already went. So Kevin.
I was gonna say they have chemistry, and I'll keep it quick. Back years back, R-Truth and Brock had that type of chemistry.
Yes, that's
so it's very similar, like funny, right? And seeing Brock smile.
That was more R-Truth.
He was trying to be exactly, but like it was the Sammy stuff just makes me laugh, and it's nice to see Sammy kind of like propelled, to a top level talent, and who cares if he gets the crap beat out of him, and all that. It's hilarious. And those overalls, holy crap, those overalls.
I went looking for overalls this weekend. for this podcast just because I could find him.
How about Sammy's jacked up nurses last week too, right?
Funny you bring that up.
Can't wait to see them on NXT in 2 months.
Those guys, they're an LA based tag team.
Sure they are, right?
Their team name is Beef Candy. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Candy
Shout out to
Beef Candy. They're nurses. It makes sense.
Yeah,
it
was good.
Candy.
So with all of this being said, I have a question. Is Brock Lesnar the greatest sports entertainer of all time? Taking in what he can do in the ring, we see what the fun characters, we see the badass character when he doesn't talk. Like a couple months ago, I had said that The Undertaker is the greatest character in sports entertainment history. Is Brock Lesnar the greatest sports entertainer of all time?
Nope. The Rock.
He's not.
The Rock.
Rock.
It's just The Rock. I mean, just think back to even if it was just a short period of time when he came back as Hollywood Rock in 2003. That's like my favorite Rock character, like the super heel. He said, "Toronto, we live in Toronto, yay!" And then he ripped on your Kings, Brian. But
it's the greatest. That's the greatest.
And then he leaves for 4 years, and you hear that music. When he came back to announce the host of WrestleMania, The Rock is the greatest sports entertainer of all time.
I disagree.
I think go ahead. I would give Brock kind of like a multi-sport, right? If we say pro wrestling is a sport, which it is not like a NFL or NBA, right? There's not like a legitimate title with playoffs, but UFC champion and a champion multi-times over in wrestling, he can have maybe that title, like a multi-sport best of all time. But I don't even know if I put him in top 5.
I think what Brock lacks, honestly, is the longevity of classic matches. There isn't a ton of like Brock matches that I really want to go and rewatch. Mania versus Angle, SmackDown 60-minute Angle. So maybe some of the Taker matches, but he doesn't have that huge long list. But boy, is he an amazing, well-rounded performer. Think about the Royal Rumble 2 years ago when McIntyre eliminated him. He did like a fucking cartwheel out of the ring on the Claymore. It was like the greatest sell I've ever seen in my life. He's absolutely special, but I think just there's a little bit more, oomph there in the wrestling criteria that I give it to the nod to some other guys.
Okay. I'm blown away with seeing this now.
Yeah,
like
it's great.
This is all new and I love it. Monday Night Raw, and people like to shit on Raw because it's what they do. Fucking internets. If you did not like the Bobby Lashley story from this week's Raw, you're just an asshole. This is a great fucking story. It was an awesome story.
No,
he had to go through 3 guys to get into the main event of day 1. I mean, and all the matches were awesome. This guy, Raw is Lashley. It's better. I said it last week. Raw is better when Bob Lashley's on the show. Absolutely awesome. Joe, I don't know if you agree with me or if you don't.
No, I agree.
An asshole or okay, good.
No, I agree. I'm not gonna
this week.
Raw was awesome with Lashley because here's the thing. They didn't have Lashley just destroy all 3. That would have ruined the match. Yep. Kevin Owens showed his sneakiness of, I'm just going to tap out before he even locks in the hurt lock. I'm not going to get injured before this. And before that, when Adam Pearce announced that he was allowing it, and he goes, "Kevin Owens, you're going to go first because you were the last one to qualify." Seth's response of, "Might as well get in my gear right now." That cracked me up. And then when those 2 teamed up at the end, going like, "Oh, we got him," and it's like, no DQ, and that's threw it off. So those first 2 losses did not hurt either one of those guys. So we got the real match with Big E, which made sense because Lashley didn't break much of a sweat between the first 2 because those 2 were smart enough not to get injured by him. So I actually appreciated that he got to beat all 3 without really dominating all 3. So you still don't know who's going to win at day 1.
Kevin, what do you got?
I was gonna excuse me. One, it's nice to see Lashley on a lot of the episodes. I feel like we haven't seen much of him lately. But I like it. He's not gonna win on day one, but it brings a legitimate guy back. And seeing KO, especially with the news, we'll get into maybe in a little bit. Seth, of course, is money. Raw was pretty good this week. I really enjoyed it.
So I will disagree. In a bubble, what you guys were saying makes sense. What I didn't like and where I got confused is that sort of gauntlet of qualifiers to be in a title match. That's usually reserved for like an underdog baby face. So I got confused because here's this big badass Lashley and he has to run through these challengers. Usually that's a spot for like, Kofi back in a couple of years ago or Daniel Bryan a couple of years ago. So I thought, are we headed this way where now we're cheering Lashley? I got sold on, did you guys see him high five my man Gable Steveson in the front row? Yes. Right? They just gave him the hometown hero welcome, right? I'm like, maybe Lashley's a good guy. Okay, I could get into this. But it's not. He's still the badass Lashley who's the heel and wants to beat up Big E. So that's where my issue was. Everything he said in the bubble of like matches were great, enjoyed that part of the entertaining of the actual story in that sense. But it was confusing to me. And maybe you guys thought that way too, or I guess not though.
Well, what confused me was Gable Steveson was drafted to Raw. Why does he have to sit in the crowd? He's part of the roster. He could have been backstage.
It's fair. It's a fair point.
With his fake parents?
With his family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
At the draft party.
Yeah. One of the guys in the match was Kevin Owens. And he broke Brian's heart this morning.
My hot takes are already done. Take
Kevin
that
Owens,
paper and rip it up.
Kevin Owens re-signs with WWE. Multi-year extension. I obviously knew I said that was going to happen. He's not going to go to AEW and just be another guy. Now, granted, he's in the mid-card of WWE, but do you want to be in the mid-card of WWE or AEW? Because that's all he would have been over there, regardless of who his friends are. So I think Kevin Owens made the right decision. Another ex-WWE guy is not needed. Anybody... Brian, I don't know. You got tissues there. I don't know if this is going to upset you to talk about. I know you were pretty crushed by this.
I was surprised. I thought all signs were pointing to it. It seemed like him and the Young Bucks were kind of having some Twitter fun. So I bid it hook, line, and sinker. What I thought was really interesting, though, I don't know if you guys saw this because I was scanning Twitter. Little behind the curtain here, guys. Kevin was about 20 minutes late for recording tonight because of Survivor. So I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter, but footage actually leaked of him telling the locker room that he resigned. You guys want to? I can share my screen. You guys want to see that video real quick?
It's
let's take a look here.
Oh gosh.
Oh, mute.
I'm not leaving.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. This is my home. They're gonna need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here. They're gonna need to send in the National Guard or fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere!
All Elite Wrestling on TNT.
Hey, no, don't play that.
Well, at the end, I cut off the audio. He goes, fuck. And then I included All Elite Wrestling on TNT. I can't believe KO would say that stuff. That'll be up on our socials. I'll make sure I tweet that out to everybody.
Oh my.
I actually thought it was a real, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You're an asshole.
Who broke it down?
Yeah. I don't even know where to go.
Where do you go from that? I don't know.
Moving on.
So over the weekend was Ring of Honor Final Battle. Of course, reports came out that Ring of Honor is on a hiatus now, and there was a lot of great matches. Unfortunately, there was one moment that was not shown on the pay-per-view. Shane Taylor and Kenny King had an outstanding knockdown drag-out fight. And at the end of the match, all of the African-American talent stood together in solidarity, raised their right fist in a for the culture moment. Ring of Honor went to a CM Punk promo and did not put this like heavy moment on TV. And I think it's a fucking it's gross. Why they wouldn't do it and they put CM Punk on, I'm kind of annoyed by that. Also at Ring of Honor Final Battle, FTR showed up to attack the Briscoes, which if we get that in AEW, that's going to be a fun match. I don't know if you know who Mark and Jay Briscoe are, but it's an outstanding tag team. Other AEW talents, Daniel Bryanson also cut a promo or pre-recorded, not cut a promo. Adam Cole, the Young Bucks. So hopefully Ring of Honor does come back. But the Shane Taylor Promotions thing, I'm annoyed that they did not put that on camera. It's disgusting. So there is a member of the Ring that was a member of the Ring of Honor roster who may be coming to AEW. If you watched Dynamite on Wednesday, Malachi Black had the House of Black promo, and there was a man in a hood, and Black leaned over and said, "You are more than a king." I hope this means Brody King is coming to AEW to be a member of the House of Black. If you don't know who Brody King is, Google him because he is awesome. Him and Black are the PWG Tag Team Champions currently, and it'll be an awesome addition to the AEW roster because Black said he's going to have a faction. So hopefully Brody King is going to be first. And I mean, it could be Kenny King. I mean, it could be Jerry the King, but I hope it's Brody King.
Jerry.
So I loved the 60-minute draw. Brian?
Nope.
Why?
Hated it. Well, okay, the match itself was awesome. Love the match. Yeah, but that was Daniel Bryan's first match was Kenny, and it went to a fucking draw.
20 minutes.
Yes, but as it was going on, I'm like, they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. I felt it was so telegraphed. And while I feel like this doesn't hurt Hangman, it does still elevate him, into being the champion. I hate that I saw it coming the whole time. I would have preferred Hangman winning clean. That's really my only knock on it. I hated the draw again.
I wonder if that's what the plan was, or they just miscalculated time.
I don't know.
Because it looked like he was about to hit that.
That was the plan.
I don't know. I'm sure it's going to come out. But Joe, what did you think of the 60-minute draw?
I enjoyed it until I don't know, maybe because you have a thing against JR. I have a thing against Taz all of a sudden. When Taz went, "Oh, we got a minute left," I'm like, "Oh man, they're going to a draw." Totally ruined all that for me. And then he hits the buckshot, about to cover, ding, ding, ding. So I was like, okay, the story must continue. But it really annoyed me because when he faced Kenny, it was a 30-minute draw. And now he faces Hangman, 60-minute draw. So Bryan Danielson can't lose a match. He can only win or get a draw. He doesn't need that protection. He can lose and still be main event talent. Now, when we were watching it, my wife actually watched it as well while she was doing her school stuff. And she went,
she's a teacher. She's not a student. Go ahead.
Right. Her response was this, because she doesn't like AEW, but she went, "Well, that really makes the champion look weak, that he can't beat his opponent in an hour in his first defense." And I actually agreed with her. I'm like, that does make him look weak. He can't beat an opponent in an hour in his first defense. I know that it's going to make him look strong, but I actually agree with my wife saying it made him look weak because anyone
she's sitting in the room, isn't
defense, they win.
She's sitting next to you, right off camera.
No, she's not. She's
take off your glasses and blink twice, and she's there.
It's like that.
No, when she
like
said
that
that
State
out loud,
Farm commercial.
I was like, wow, you actually make sense on this one. All right.
And Kevin, you weren't really watching because you were too busy watching Survivor. So we are going to move on to another cool thing from Dynamite. Wardlow, they're teasing that turn. They're making him MJF's, fucking, gopher. I mean,
winter is coming and Wardlow's turn is coming. It's coming up, guys.
They went
It'll
60
be good.
minutes to 60 seconds.
Pretty much, yeah.
and then for 2 hours, they hyped Tony Khan's big announcement, but it never happened.
Yeah, it did.
What was the announcement?
Next week's match, the 3-on-3, CM Punk, Darby, and Sting versus MJF and FTR. Punk even said, "There's your announcement. It's happening."
Okay.
And then Shivani went,
but how did Tony Khan know? But how did Tony Khan know that FTR was going to come out and put MJF on the shoulder? How did Tony Khan know that the lights were going to go out and Sting and Darby were going to come? And then how did he know that CM Punk was going to come for the save?
He saw the script.
He's the booker, right?
That is not the announcement. That is not the announcement.
Kevin, they subtly said it at the end.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Announcement.
In some not so surprising news, WWE is closing down production of DVDs and Blu-rays in 2022. Now, the last DVD that'll come out, there's two. It's the Survivor Series, and there's a Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre DVD that's coming out right after Christmas. Those will be the last two. And I've joked from day one on this podcast that I have so many DVDs that I was the WWE Network before the WWE Network was a thing. I just assumed DVDs were done. I haven't bought any in probably 3 years. There was a time where I had every WrestleMania, every SummerSlam, every Royal Rumble, and then all the documentaries that came. And then like the UFC, when they brought out their streaming service in 2014, Fight Pass, they just stopped putting out DVDs. So one of my favorites is there was a SummerSlam box set. It was like the first 10 SummerSlams, but it was in a little box set that looked like a cooler. I thought that was kind of fun. But I'm glad I didn't give up and get rid of my DVDs, because we see with what's going on when the network moved to Peacock, things are getting edited out. Shows are just being left off. Brian, you love ECW, and it's definitely not the same anymore. So this got me thinking about this week's 5 Count. It is the top 5 favorite DVD releases from WWE.
That Wrestling Podcast presents the 5 Count.
Hashtag TWP, the number 5 count on social media. What are your 5 favorite WWE DVD Blu-ray releases? We'll start with Kevin. What do you got this week for the 5 count?
Wait, it has to be a Blu-ray release?
Or DVD.
These bad boys are barely DVD. Okay.
VHS, Betamax.
So I'll give my thought process here. So I counted. I have 43, by the way. I was very impressed.
Okay, good number.
I have a random best match of TNA that is sealed.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about WWEF.
I know.
I have all those TNA ones too, but we're not talking about that.
I love a lot of them are like match compilations only, but I was a sucker for the documentaries. So my number 5, The Life and Times of Mr. Perfect.
Oh yeah. That's
okay.
I just remember getting it. I want to know more about him. Not a lot that, you didn't know, but I'm a sucker for the documentary of how they get in the business. It's kind of like the ups and downs of the life. And number 4, this one definitely dives into that. Brian Pillman, The Loose Cannon.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a really, really good documentary. Not much, he had a pretty wild life. And actually this one had some pretty good matches on it too. One good thing, I was reading the backs with Mr. Perfect. You do get the West Texas Rednecks Rap is Crap.
Oh,
nice. Okay.
There you go.
Number
Take
3.
That, No Limit.
This one is heavily on the match compilation, but it does go into backstory. It's kind of a every other type thing. The Edge, Decade of Decadence, super, super awesome 3 DVD box set. Number 2, the Monday Night Wars. I remember when my wife Laura when we first started dating, I made her watch number 2 and coming up the number 1 because she's like, oh, wrestling, and I'm like, sit down, you got to learn some wrestling. You got to learn some wrestling.
That's how it all began.
She really enjoyed this one, but her favorite documentary of all time.
Your favorite, not hers.
Oh, but well, it is mine too. Which actually makes it even better. The rise and fall of ECW. It's so good. Just so entertaining, with Public Enemy. I think that's when the first where Paul Heyman mentions like, yep, we open up with Public Enemy, and just fantastic. And I did have a couple standbys in case I went later. But it was hard to pick the top 5. It was hard.
I will never forget when that ECW DVD came out. It was hard to find. I mean, it was a really hard find. And I was living in Virginia at the time, and I had to go to this like CD exchange place. Remember those stores?
Oh yeah.
I paid, I think, like $47 for it because it was such a high demand. But what blew me away the most was it was 3 hours long. The documentary part was 3 hours. So I guess I'll go next. And I bring this up because one match on this is number 5, John Morrison Rockstar. There is a match on this. I mean, there's a lot of cool shit, no doubt. But there is a match against Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, it's one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorite matches.
You've talked about this on a SmackDown.
Yeah.
Right?
So John Morrison Rockstar. I actually did get this at Walmart for $4.99. So
the $5 bin or the
$5 bin. Number 4. I agree that Brock Lesnar was the right choice to defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Undertaker 20-0, the streak set, all the matches with stories.
Nice.
Another early documentary about one of my favorites, John Cena, Word Life. This is when he was the rapper character. Awesome. So awesome. So fucking awesome. Number 2, I didn't really know a lot about, I knew of him, but I didn't know a lot about him. But I got the set. Owen, Heart of Gold. Great DVD set. And my number 1, this was a close one. Number 1, Breaking the Code. That's Chris Jericho. This was a great one really with good. All of his, coming up through WWE. My other honorable mention was the CM Punk documentary, Best in the World, because that was the first one that had footage from other companies. They had Ring of Honor footage on that. It was so different than every other one, but it was a close one. But this is my 5 count for this week. Brian, what do you got?
Well, these are great. And I think we all, at least so far, went pretty much on like the documentary side, but I did put for my number 5. This was the Best of Raw 15th anniversary. And I haven't watched this in a while, but having all these moments from the beginning, from the Attitude and the later times of that 2003 to 2008, having it here now with the network how it is, and it's not quite as easily to use. Yeah. I'm like, I might actually have to pull this out to like watch some of these cool moments again.
Is that the one with like the first 20 episodes of Raw? No, because I have that set too. I don't know if that's the same one.
It has the first episode. And then it looks like it goes into the Pillman Austin Gunn episode.
Yeah.
So, a little different. But so that's my number 5. My number 4 is The Rock. The Rock, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, the 3-disc set. So this one covers basically everything up until his last comeback, if you will. So a lot of good, funny things on there. Number 3, I am wearing the shirt in really tribute, besides my attempt at a Reba McIntyre joke, but the Bobby the Brain Heenan DVD. And I remember when this came out, I remember the stupidest shit, guys. But I remember somebody commented on 411 because it was coming out like on December 30th, and somebody put like, "Gonna be the best New Year's Eve ever." Why do I remember these things?
It was from Foley 1081
Right.
MSU.
Yeah.
That's a fun
10-9-81.
one. That's really good because you hear about Bobby's like life.
That's
Laura.
That's Kevin's wife's third favorite DVD because he
Yes.
made her watch that on
Yes.
New Year's Eve that year.
Laura's 3 count. My number 2 is CM Punk Best in the World.
Okay.
Another good one where he's talking first person and gets into so much cool stuff about his upbringing and everything that led to the pipe bomb and all that. My number 1, I couldn't find it in my like 5 minutes of looking, but it's also the same as Kevin's. It was the rise and fall of ECW. The only other thing I have to add to that was that brought back a whole brand. That's how it started. The DVD was like the highest selling DVD at the time that WWE had produced. That was when Rob Van Dam said, "Why don't we do this one night stand thing?" They looked at the numbers and said, "We can make this and we can do this as a third brand." So that's how powerful that DVD was.
Yeah.
So that's my number 1.
And Joe, bring it home.
All right, totally makes sense. And I'm going last because I only have 4. Because with guys like you who bought them the day they came out, I just borrowed them from you when you were done with them. So I think every single one of them that you've shown, I borrowed from one of you at one point. But here are the ones that I have. Number 5, Jason, Brian, you already mentioned why this is a good DVD to still have. The Attitude Era DVD collection that has all the greatest hits of the Attitude Era. And it's the one that has the Sgt. Pepper cover that has everybody on there, because this is stuff you cannot see on Peacock because it's all been edited. Number 3 and number 4 and number 3 are together because it was a box set that came with the glasses, with the shirt, with the bandana. We're talking about the collector's edition of the Macho Man.
That's
and
cool.
why I have 2 in there, it's because it came with both of his DVD sets. The one that just had his matches when he was still alive, but they just had the match compilation of all his greatest hits. And then, so it's, and this box set is awesome.
Yeah.
But, it has the collection right there. The one that Matt Stryker and
I think
I
Maria.
want to say Maria were hosting it and went over all his matches. And then the Randy Savage story, which was actually the documentary after he passed away, which got his mother in there, got the Genius in there. And after that A&E hatchet job over the spring, this is the true documentary of the Macho Man. So that's my number 4 and number 3. My number 2 was Brian's number 5. Best of Raw 15 years. Brian, you forgot one thing on here. They went over it like it was VH1's pop-up video. They would show highlights of every single segment, and it played as a timeline from the first episode all the way up till the 2008, like the end of 2008, ruthless aggression era. And during each segment, there would be little behind the scenes facts of what happened afterwards and things like that. So this is like an amazing set to have for anyone who wants to watch Raw, and you can't get most of this stuff on Peacock. My number 1, I borrowed it from 2 people. It's my favorite documentary. I think I borrowed it from Brian and Kevin at certain different
I'm going to
times.
need it back.
And it would be, no, you have it.
Okay.
You showed it to the camera. It's the rise and fall of ECW. Why would I need to buy it when 2 guys who lived down the street from me bought it the day it came out? Dude, when you're done with it, can I borrow it? Okay. And then I had it.
A couple others that could have gotten mentioned. The Paul Heyman DVD set was pretty awesome. Another one that I liked, but I couldn't find it in my desk, was they did a compilation of what happens after the show, after the cameras stop rolling.
Oh, Raw! I saw that one,
and that's when they were trying to get the Undertaker to do a spin-a-Rooney.
Yeah.
Austin was trying to get Booker T to drink. Like, there's a lot of fun fun.
Brian and I were at one of them that made the DVD set. John Cena's birthday.
Cena's
when
birthday.
The great Khali
Lewis.
sang happy birthday to him.
Oh,
and they all lost it.
All
Yes.
the divas did like a pig pile on top of John.
I think he ran up and down the ramp, and everyone was just like, "Do it again!"
I think he got half the divas pregnant in that segment, if I remember correctly.
Nice. So
it was amazing.
So yeah, learn. This is a lesson. Yeah, we're all learning that the Peacock sucks for the WWE network. So save your DVDs, save your Blu-rays. You can get a DVD player really cheap. I just bought 3 of them for my house, and they are Blu-ray players as well.
Money
$50
bags.
each. $50 each. So I have one outside, one upstairs, and one in my bedroom. So
and they play on the PS4 and the PS5.
They do that too. So all right, that's our 5 count for this week.
Who made your 5 count? Let us know on social media using the hashtag TWP5count.
All right, the NFL season is in week 71. Brian, what happened last week in the picks? Who picked what?
I tell you guys, it's coming down to the wire once again. We are tied.
What?
Brett. So the kids, they had, of the 3 games, 2 of them, they had the same picks. They had Rams over, they had the Buccaneers beating the Bills. They had the Packers over the Bears. One game they had different was Monday night, and Brett has tied it up. He had the Rams. They beat the Cardinals, which was Harper's pick. They are 21-17-1. We are in week 15. We have 4 weeks left. There's been a huge comeback, back from the dead. COVID is back. No, I'm talking for the actual football. COVID is back. I don't know if they're going to be able to play 4 more weeks. If you've seen the reports every day, COVID's popping up on all these teams.
Mega flight.
No,
We'll call it now.
It's starting to become the odds-on favorite right now.
I blame the Lions for this.
They are one of the teams.
After they got their first victory, COVID started spreading. And it's like, okay, fine. You think you're going to celebrate? Let's knock everyone out. Thanks a lot, Lions. You're ruining football for more people.
Yeah. So 4 weeks left to go. And if you guys remember from last week's show, when we talked about what was happening in the picks, Jason issued a challenge.
Oh no.
Where money was on the line if Santa Claus would get involved in the picks. And so this is a little sneak preview for what the big video will be like on Saturday morning. But I've got some footage to share with you, and I'm going to need your thoughts after it's done. Take a look.
Fiona, look at mommy, not daddy, look at mama. And look at Santa. Look at Santa.
I thought Santa was a cinematron.
I know, right?
So did I.
All right, thank you, Santa.
Santa, who do you think's gonna win, the Saints or the Bucks?
Santa knows better than to answer a question like that.
Oh, all right. Deal.
Doesn't count.
Santa no-sold me, guys.
No, Santa
no money for you.
There it
no
is.
money for you.
That's
Santa went with the tie.
And for
Kevin,
50 extra, I would have said if Santa would have called Jason a mark, you would have got that one, and he didn't do that either.
Yeah, so Kevin, you got 1 more week, Kevin. I don't know if you're taking Brett to the mall to meet Santa.
Because if you can get him to say, call Jason a mark on camera, you got $50 at GCW. Just saying.
Ooh, can buy another 2 shirts and a beer.
Mm-hmm. Look at him.
I need that 24 ounce of Corona.
Either something is done already, or he's got the gears turning, man. Look at him. He's silent. There's something going on there, but I can't believe it.
Santa's going to be the thumbnail, and Brett is still not going to make it.
Am I on the naughty list now, guys? Did Santa get pissed at me? He shot me down.
He was a Lions fan. He was in Frangamo, so you got to root for the Lions.
Unbelievable.
So, anyway, on Saturday, the video will tomorrow will pop up on social media at thatwrestlepod. Don't forget, like, follow, share, subscribe, pick up a shirt at whatamaneuver.net, and we'll talk to you next week on That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!